For those of you who pick your viewing content blindfolded and with a dartboard, you're listening to Nat 1 Heroes, a story driven tabletop role playing group. I'm Jonathan, and I'm the DM, which means I'm a control freak with majority control over a shared fiction. The only parts of the narrative not controlled by me are the protagonists, who are controlled by the players. Aisla plays the acrobatic fighter Ruin, Jin plays the tragic cleric Revenant, and Mikey plays the reclusive druid Zermos. Together, we work to tell a story. And today, our story begins with me turning my attention back to my players and ignoring you folks. So, starting with Aisla.
Okay, I am excited about this. This is our first session, which is technically a 0 level session, which means it's before the party really gets together. It's what I really enjoy doing because it gives players an opportunity to let their characters shine. And as a dungeon master, it lets me love people's characters as much as they love their characters, which is really, really important, in my opinion.
Yes.
Just briefly describe Ruin for us. Like, what's her background and what's her full name and where does she come from and what is she doing?
So, Ruin Dulubre is from a small town, which was a hill fort founded by her great grandfather. And she grew up in a really happy home. Her family was hardworking and loving. And she learned how to fight from her mother and her older brother. She was really loved to just get scrappy with things. And she had a little air of the dramatic, which occasionally, resulted in some pranks and things like that. And she just yearned to see the world. And so when the circus came by and they were performing, she was like, I could do that. And so somehow she convinced the circus owner, I guess, I don't know exactly what you call that person, Barker,
Mr. Biggs.
Mr. Biggs, to take her on. And over the years, it was a pretty good relationship because she was a hard worker and she had fun, would do the performances, occasionally would take odd jobs because of her background working with her family in terms of guarding their shipments and things like that. She'd go help out by taking odd jobs that Mr. Biggs would connect her with in order to keep the circus afloat because it turns out they don't make a ton of money. And so that's what she was doing, just a pretty, in some ways, a glamorous yet kind of boring life. She got to perform, but she enjoyed being with the circus, seeing the world. Occasionally, the wrestling with bears, not bears. What is it?
Owlbear.
Owlbear. Sorry, I looked it up, but then I forgot what it was.
Yes, Mrs. Biggs trains owlbears.
Owlbears. Yes. Yeah, and so that was how she got into that. She was a little reluctant at first, but this is just too much fun.
So, with that, let's turn our attention to Jen. Jen, I'm going to ask you some questions to get you to set
Expectations. We have what is normal in the world for people before great events occur and upset everything. Hero's journey sort of thing. And that doesn't have much meaning unless you show what normal is. So it's really important in a story to understand that there was a normal for people before this life came to them. However, that being said, Revenant isn't exactly normal, is
No. Revenant is a 3'2" deep gnome. I'm not gonna say what he looks like underneath the mask because he's constantly seen wearing a mask and goggles that glow red.
Yeah, to protect him from the sunlight.
Yeah.
And also from people from knowing what he looks like.
Yeah.
What's different from a deep gnome and a regular gnome?
So deep gnomes, their alignment is generally the same as regular gnomes. Most of them are lawful good or neutral good. They live underground. Their skin is gray like drow, who are another underdark species.
They tend to be less playful than the surface dwelling gnomes, is my understanding.
Yeah, they're a lot more hardcore.
Less humorous and more hardy, as it were.
Yeah.
Let's stop there and introduce our third PC.
Okay. So, Mikey, bit of background. This is really your first time playing Dungeons and Dragons, isn't it?
I have never done this before, but I'm still really excited.
Well, I'll be gentle. I remember my first time.
She was a frost giant.
So that was the second one. Anyway, at its core, I firmly believe as a DM that Dungeons and Dragons is about collaborative storytelling.
Yeah, I think it's a unique way of exploring stories. It's a very different way of telling the story. It's not a movie where you can just sit down and watch it. You're an actor and you're outside of it and it's just a very unique perspective on fiction.
So, for the listeners and you, I am the Dungeon Master. I control the world for the most part. There are player characters that are people in this world who are played by the players. And those people exist outside of my control for the most part. What they do is limited by rules and random chance, which is represented by dice. And we got all sorts of different shapes, and I'm sure you know that by now. I am sure you have your own new dice obsession that you are
Ooh.
certainly fostering, because that happens to everybody who starts playing D&D. It just happens.
They're so pretty. There's so many.
They're wonderful, and they really are. And I am sure we will have lots of merch links in the future.
Mhm.
This is one of the few games where actually anything can happen. And there are rules for how things are supposed to happen. So it's still fun when the anything happens. So do you feel like you ready to go forward now?
Good. Count me in.
Okay. So you have created a character who is called Zermos.
Correct. Zermos.
If we were to look at Zermos, what would he look like?
Zermos is a tiefling.
And what does that mean for people who don't know what a tiefling is?
So through many hours of YouTubing, um, and that boy, did I not know how deep that water got. Tieflings are the descendants of humans, and I think the humans did it for political gain and something about kingdoms, and they would use that to enhance their power. So they made some bad deals, and they cursed all of their descendants forever to appear with devil features. So it could be horns or a forked tongue or a tail.
So specifically, what does that mean for Zermos?
He is tall, probably about 6'1", 6'2", of slight build, whereas a lot of the horns that people see on tieflings will look like goat's horns. His are antlers. His normal, quote unquote, normal tiefling horns dropped out when he left his family, and he's from a family of nobility. And he left all of that behind to help cure this tiefling curse. And because he left and he took up druidic ways, his normal horns fell out. He has antlers instead now. And his skin is the color of fallen leaves. He's very olive and tanned, gold eyes with a black sclera, almost like a cat.
All right. And Mikey, you had a springboard written up that you wanted to kickstart the session with. So please go right ahead and we'll get into it.
The dry crunch of fallen leaves and pine needles blend with the rhythmic chanting of a small druidic circle.
In the world of Kaldera, druids commune not only with nature, but with each other. By meditating during a long rest, druids may reach out and place their spiritual essence into the world of the cross circle, but their physical body remains in the material plane. They must do this once a season or risk losing their unique attachment to nature. Using this ability, they can teach and learn from one another and keep each other up to date on the events of the world as they strive to maintain the delicate balance between man and nature.
They all sit cross-legged in a clearing, bathed in warm sunlight and perfume with the scent of a wildflower whose name was forgotten years ago. A cool breeze stops them mid-breath, and before a butterfly could beat its wings, the clearing is empty. Not even a footprint remained. A voice cries out, "Zamos! Enough of this frivolity and waste. Come home. Your father has agreed to leave you be, but you must return to the matter at once. Zermos!" The wind blows a dusty and vacant response. Young lord, time is running out. You must return. Silence. After an hour or so of hearing only the breeze for a response, the well-dressed man servant abandons his quest and begins his several-day hike home, empty-handed again. Why do they search for you, Zermos? Why do you not answer them? Who are they? Vandril. He is my father's right-hand man and my oldest friend. He is only following his orders to fetch me and bring me home. They send someone out about this time every year. He pauses and looks at the sky. If I'm right about what I believe today is, it's my birthday. The companion slightly parts his lips for a congratulatory remark, only to be silenced with a hiss. This is not a day of pleasantness for me. This day reminds me why I am here. At that moment, a small green sprout poked through the leaf litter, and in a matter of moments, a red flower blooms at Zermos' feet. He summons me. Be well, friend.
And we'll pause there. Jen, you're back up.
Okay, so I think we might be ready to start. As we open up, we take a bird's eye view, take a look around, and you'll see the Hatchet Mountains. The mountains that, according to the locals there, were said to be carved out of the very earth by a god bringing his hatchet down multiple times on his enemy's skull. And if you take a look at it, it seems so wild and chaotic, you might believe that it was actually the skull of a giant just split open to create this natural landscape. But these mountains are obviously very inorganic because there are a lot of precious metals, or rather there were metals. And mines used to be very common in the area. And you take a look around and there's the town of Minetop, which sits over the Silver Bone Mine. And it is quite possibly the oldest mining town in the known world. You take a look at the first level of mines that are now basically used as people's basements. And the tunnels were carved with stone tools from back in the day, back in a prehistoric times before people even had written language. And the problem with having a city like this is that you run out of places to put dead people. And so you have your graveyard, but your graveyard can't maintain a population the way it should be able to. So what you end up with is an ossuary, a place where bones are stored, human remains, gnome remains too, humanoid remains in general. Take a look around you. You will see that underneath the temple, there is an ossuary that used to be the original Silverbone mines. And if you take a look even harder, you'll see a skull on the wall, mounted, that if you pull on just right, will cause some stone to slide to the side and to go further down into the tunnels. And you will start hearing something if you're there in the middle of the night. An ominous chanting. And it continues until there is a full bone cathedral, a cathedral made of the remains of the past 4,000 years of the human residents of the area. And in the center of this cathedral is a large stone slab with a yellowed canine skull on it. And in front of this canine skull is a gnome. A gnome in robes with his face hidden, turning to address the members of his congregation in a barbaric ritual. What does Revenant say?
Ladies and gentlemen, we have gathered here today to celebrate the power of the Grim, to carry out the will of the Grim. This dog,
I motion towards a dog that's standing in front of me.
this dog has lived a long and hard life. This dog was never truly loved. It spent its days begging on the streets. It is diseased, it is old, and it is malnourished. Death comes when it must, not when it should. And we must do our due diligence to put this dog out of its misery.
I cup one hand under the chin, stroking the ear of the dog. It bows its head in recognition of what's to come.
May you be free of suffering and pain, and may you walk this earth again one day.
It whines.
I take the dagger. I quickly jam it into the throat of the dog. The speed at which I do this causes the body to go into shock before any true pain.
This all happens.
Underneath the dog is a clay bowl. As I pull out the knife, blood starts dripping into the clay bowl. After some time passes, I gently lay the dog down and I snap my fingers, and two of the cloaked figures, Banshee and Ghast.
Yeah, Banshee and Ghast come and they take the bowl. And they keep on chanting as they were chanting earlier, in sync with anybody. Puer sus non bonam. Puer sus non bonam. Puer sus non bonam.
I snap my fingers again, and White and Phantom come up and carry the dog's body down the same hallway the two with the bowl of blood are heading down.
There's a voice from the skull.
Leave it. Leave it here. There is something special I mean to do tonight.
All right. You heard him. Leave the body.
And the yellow skull lifts up.
And it's now Isola's turn.
Okay, so cold open, we see a trail of caravans of different carriages and coaches and just anything mobile going across hill country. And in this land, people travel together for reasons of safety because there are things in the wild, there are things in the forest, and if you travel alone, it's pretty much guaranteed you won't make it to the next city that you're going to. So people tend to travel in large groups. And when the circus travels, people tend to travel with them. So it's a lot more than just the circus there, but it's the circus leading the way. And at the front, in a horse-drawn carriage, is a small halfling man with a giant waxed mustache. During the travels, where does Ruin like to sit?
She will sometimes walk with people or hop on one of the group wagons. She likes just chatting with folks. Occasionally, like I said, she'll walk or she'll go up and talk to new people. So like if there's like, sort of a place that's where like the performers hang out, if people have their own different carriages, then it would be the one where the folks that she tends to perform with are, unless she's meeting someone new.
Yeah, there's actually a very interesting man there. A man referred to by everyone else who's shown up as Johnny Two Pints. And like everybody seems to know this guy. It's like fairly odd. He's a human, tall and lean and just really friendly and just chatting up a storm with anybody who comes across him. And he's telling all these big stories and talking about everything he's done. And it seems like a load of horse shit, but it's entertaining.
Did you think it's entertaining, but like dangerous or?
No, just mildly entertaining.
Like mildly entertaining. All right, well, I'll go talk to him. Is he close by or riding in a wagon?
He's riding on the back of a wagon and he's nursing 2 pints of beer. Like somehow in this whole thing, he found someone to sell him 2 pints of beer and he just has both pints in hand and is just alternating between drinking one and the other.
All right. I'll sort of put on a little show. If he's clearly an entertainer,
He's a traveling minstrel, actually.
I'll give him my flourish and sort of flourish my way up onto the back of the wagon where he is. Not just climb up, but gracefully acrobatic.
Is that going to be an acrobatics check?
Yeah, I would say that.
Okay, give me an acrobatics check. Roll with d20.
7 plus 4, 11.
Okay, well, I'd say Ruin is pretty routine in doing this sort of thing. So, like, you just do a roll where you hop onto a horse, flip over the top of the wagon, roll over, hang down by your feet in front of him, and then just grab onto his shoulders and roll down to sit right beside him.
Well met, Johnny.
Do I know you?
Seems to me like you know everybody.
Well, it seems that way to me too, but I don't recall a lady. I think I'd know you if I know you.
Well, and I'll give him sort of a half bow, move my hand, say like, well met. My name is Ruin de Libre. You may call me Ruin.
Well, hello, Ruin. I'm Johnny Two Pints. And he holds up 2 pints.
It's a very descriptive name. Where'd you get those on this travel?
Well, I have my ways. He only had 2 kegs, so, I want to. And, like, I feel like your boss man doesn't appreciate people traveling with that sort of thing and not saying anything. Like, maybe I don't want to get anybody in trouble.
That's fair. Do I think he's telling the truth?
You think this is a man who would lie if you asked him his eye color.
Gotcha. Good to know. Where are you from, Johnny? How did you get connected with us?
Oh, I'm from here, there, a little bit of everywhere. I'm a rover.
Ah, rover.
And he holds up the 2 pints. Seldom sober.
A rover sober. Well, do you have any to share, or is this for your stock only?
And he reaches behind him and he pulls out 2 more pints and he hands them to you.
Oh, thank you. Do I have anything like detect sleeping potion? Like,
It's your character sheet. You can tell me what you have.
asking myself. I'm gonna trust him. I'm not necessarily gonna trust him, but I'm gonna take the risk. I'm with my
He looks at your face and he says, Look, Ruin, I need you to know something, okay? Beer is holy, and I am a joking man, but I don't fuck with beer. Do you understand?
Well, I can respect that. And I'll cheers him and take a sip.
And as you take a sip, the wagon comes to a halt. Every wagon cascading in front of that is stopping. And the travelers come to a halt at a bridge.
It's an unexpected halt. It's like abrupt.
Unexpected, completely unexpected and abrupt.
I'm gonna give him back my beer and thank you for that. I'm gonna go find out what happened. And I'm gonna go to the front or to where Mr. Biggs is, which I would assume he's at the front, but I'm gonna go see if I can help out, find out what's going on.
He is arguing with a man who has a crossbow aimed at his head.
With that, we turn our eyes back to the hidden chapel and to the creepy floating dog skull.
And 2 pinpricks of light in the dark eye sockets begin to look around.
There is one among you who is ready for my power. The one known as Spectre. Bring him forward.
At the back of this cathedral, there has been a figure that has been standing silent. I wave my hand over at them, signaling him to come up.
He immediately comes forward.
Right, Spectre. This is an important day for you. This is Spectre, my lord.
Do you vouch for him?
I do vouch for him.
Does he know of life? Does he know of death? And does he know of the brink of both?
Yes, my lord. He understands that death is only the beginning.
Life given to death and death given to life. Spectre, will you give yourself to me?
And Spectre is hushed. He's trying to speak. And he looks at you, trying to get a signal for what to do.
Right, Spectre. You know, this day has been coming for a long time. Do what you think is best.
Yes. I give myself. And the yellow skull in air nods, and blue flames erupt around it into the shape of a very large hunting dog. And its flaming paws touch the ground. And it gets close to him, and it looks at him, and it breathes in deep. Not the way a dog would sniff, but definitely with the air and intent of a dog sniffing.
Yes, you will do for this.
And the blue flame leaves the skull and pours into his mouth and eyes and ears. And the yellowed skull drops to the ground.
I put it back on the stone slab where it was.
Spectre opens his eyes, and they are made of the same blue flame now. And his claws, his fingers look like claws, and his teeth are just a little bit sharper. And he goes towards the dog, the dead dog, and he sniffs deeply on all fours. And the rest of the congregation turns away as he viciously eats the corpse.
I look on. I don't think I would be too shocked about this.
You are not shocked about this at all, because this is what happened to you when you were given your powers. But with you, it was a deer.
Okay. So I would sit there nodding in approval with my arms crossed looking at Spectre. I would say, right, mate, eat up.
The blue flames leave him once he is done and settle back inside the skull and die down.
Until you are ready for me next. I may leave your body, but my power stays.
All right, Spectre, mate, how you feeling?
I think I'm gonna be sick.
Yeah, it's not great, but you get used to it. You gotta get your power from death. Be like the Grim.
Does the corpse eating have to happen again?
It might not. The will of the Grim is strange. But you know better than anyone else that devotion to the Grim is the only path to finding out the truth about life and death.
Yeah. Still, do you think I could skip out on the cleanup tonight? Just go home and get a shower.
Yeah, you've done good. Right, Phantom White, clean this mess up.
He looks around and goes, "It's a little dark in here." And as he says that, he reaches for a torch where there is no torch and pulls up a light with it anyway, not even thinking about it. Well, that's convenient. And he leaves, and the others begin the process of cleaning up. Phantom looks to you. "Excuse me, my lord, but I believe we can handle it from here if you need to get home."
And might as well. Right. Don't throw away the body. We can use the bones for another ritual.
I think he ate most of them.
Yeah, but the ones that are left over.
All right.
Make sure the blood goes to the special place.
Absolutely, sir.
All right. I will see you guys later.
Now we go back to Zermos and his attempts at meditation.
Where is Zermos during this?
He's meditating. He is meditating and really trying to center himself. He's been disrupted.
Okay. So, with that, we start turning our eye to the world. And in this world, there is a great basin. The great basin. And in this great basin, there is a stone spire. And on top of this stone spire is a great tree. This tree is huge. This tree's canopy stretches across the entire basin. Its roots descend down from the spire, twist around, go through the earth, and continue across the basin and up the sides. It is a large tree. And on this tree are 3 knots that look like a face. And it is a god. It is a small god, but it is a god nonetheless. And this god calls out to his follower.
Zermos.
And you hear the call again.
Zermos.
Zermos makes his way through the trees and branches and roots and rocks, very nimble, and rises to the 3 knots in the tree and takes the knee, his spear up to his side.
Zermos. How fare you in this day?
Lord Bristlecone, I have a heavy heart this day.
I can tell. Can you put it aside so I may teach you something and make your head heavy as well?
As you wish.
Zermos, I have taught you everything there is to know of nature in the Grand Basin. Any tree, any flower, you know it by name. Not the name humans give it. Not the names that are fanciful. But the names of what they are. There is power in this, and you have grown in strength in the time you have been with me. But there is something I have not presented in your teaching. Zermos,
Yes.
what do you know of gods?
I don't know much. I thought I could find the knowledge of the forest from you. I know very little of God.
As is by design. The gods do not wish to be understood. They only wish to be worshipped. Zermos, did they tell you that man was created by the gods in your stone and timber villages?
Well, I never thought of it. I haven't given it much thought.
This is the lie that men are told. The gods do not know where men came from. But there is one thing that is certain. The gods themselves were made by man. We are leeches, and we feed off belief. The more we are believed in, the stronger they are. The stronger I am. Zermos, as you have gained in strength, so have I. You are my most devoted follower, and the first one to truly understand my nature, and the nature of all gods. Zermos, do you know why I tell you this?
I appreciate the kind words, but again, why? Why are you telling me these things?
Zermos, can a man survive off one meal?
No, he needs many meals.
Zermos, I cannot survive off one believer. The people have moved away from the Great Basin. My form no longer provides me the benefits it once did. Zermos,
Can this be stopped? I can help you. Let me help.
You must take cuttings of my branches. Place them in bags made of my pine needles, with fresh topsoil from the rotted and fallen leaves of the forest. And you must transport them out of here. Plant them in the places of man where they frequent. But plant them somewhere beautiful.
Of course, but if I'm doing that, what happens to you?
So long as you believe in me, I shall have my strength for the time being. And I shall grow in strength. And you shall grow in strength in your travels. And that will be the right thing in the world.
My lord, I worry. But what if I fail?
Then I will die. And it is not the death of man that a god experiences. When men die, they go to the next plane, the plane that reflects who they are. But when gods die, they are gone. I will be but a faint memory at best.
I won't let it happen.
Zermos, there is something I loathe to tell you. There was once a dark evil in this basin. Truth be told, before it was here, it was a mountain. My taproot pierces its heart. If I die, the evil may return. I do not know its name. It was so long ago that its name does not translate to the modern. And I would not speak its true name, for that would be to give it power. Zermos.
Yes.
There is no telling how many would die if I were to die. I must live, and you must grow strong so that I may live. Can you do this?
And he rises off of one knee and he stands, very broad-shouldered and resolute. I will do this.
And you feel something foul on the breeze.
Zermos,
Yes.
something evil has come into the forest. Find it. Destroy it.
And he turns on his heels and is gone in a gust of leaves.
Okay.
We'll pause there.
All right. So what does it look like for Revenant to head back home?
He almost glides, right? He walks in such a stiff and methodical manner that you don't even see his legs moving underneath the rope.
Yeah, because it nearly goes to the ground, right?
He's almost ghost-like. He moves like straight forward. There's not an ounce of deterring him. He might wave to someone that he recognizes, but other than that, it's just a straight shot to the tavern.
And what is his passive perception?
13.
There's a faint smell in the tunnels, as if someone's been in here who hasn't been in here before. And it doesn't seem like it's a big deal right now because the ossuaries are open to the public.
I would double check that the door to the cathedral is closed.
It's definitely closed. You did the special thing with the skull and everything.
Okay. If that's the case, I will head out precautiously. I mean, people know about the cult in the catacombs, so it's not like it's a big secret, but the location of where the meetings happen is a secret.
Yeah.
So I'd be a little cautious. Does it smell like it's a direct path towards the entrance or no?
You can't really tell. The last time you smelled this was when you saw a fishmonger.
Okay. Then I would just leave. There might be a little bit of a pause in my step when I smell it, but I would just leave.
Okay, you keep on. Now, the tunnels connect directly to the basement beneath the inn, don't they?
Yes.
All right. And is there any secret way of getting into them from there, or is it just a door?
There's like a section of bones that looks completely unassuming. Behind that section, if you were to imagine it like an aisle, there's like a very specific route that you can go behind the bones, and there's a tunnel. It's not like there's a secret entrance or anything, but
An optical illusion to hide it. Hard to notice.
yeah. Like if you knew where it was, you could easily get there, but if you don't know where it was, you'd probably never see it. And that goes straight to the tavern basement where I live.
All right. When you get there, you see that in your sitting room in the basement, Mr. Cathaw, the inn owner, has left your mail for you with a message on top.
I would read the message.
Okay. You imagine it in his voice. Just wanted to give you a heads up. The Lady Falwell called upon you today, and I saw you were not in, so I just left a message. She said it's very urgent and to immediately go to the town hall once you got here.
I would probably put the rest of my mail in a corner where I know I'm going to read it and head straight over to Lady Falwell's. If it's urgent, then I don't want to keep her waiting.
How are you getting over there?
I'm going to go up the stairs of a basement and then just go through the tavern entrance.
Mr. Cathaw is there and he's polishing the bar countertop.
How's it going, Mr. Cathar?
Mr. Revenant, it's good to see you. Just want to let you know, I hope you saw a message, but Lady Falwell came. Seemed pretty urgent for her to come herself.
Yeah, I read that. I'm actually heading over there now.
All right, he was only about 10 minutes ago, so he's fine, I am sure.
Okay.
I'm surprised I didn't see you come in.
Yeah,
Well, you're light-footed.
you know, it's probably my height, right? You know, you're hanging over the top, and I'm pretty short. Yeah.
That must be. That must be. Yes. All right, so you keep on going.
Yep.
It is dark outside because it never feels right to you to do a ritual during the daytime. And near as you can tell, the Silverbone Grim only manifests at night.
If it's nighttime, I'll actually put my goggles on my forehead, just so that my dark vision, like, because there's nobody around at the moment, right?
No, nobody's around.
Yeah, so I'm not afraid of anyone seeing me. So I'll put my goggles on my forehead and walk through the dark.
You get up there, no problem. You just walk the worn cobblestones up to the timber-framed lodge that is now the town hall, where Lady Falwell takes up office. You get inside. You go directly to the meeting place?
Yeah.
Okay, you go directly into the meeting room, and you see that every single big person in the town is there. Anybody who owns anything, anybody who has their hand in anything is there. There's Mr. Silvermane. He is the chief engineer of the mine. By deed and by right, Lady Falwell owns the mine. She technically owns the entire town. She prefers to act more as a mayor than anything, but it is hers by right. Everyone that you know is there. You're surprised Mr. Cathaw isn't there, but on second thought, you're really not, because he's not really trusted to advise. He can barely keep his own inn running anyway. Revenant.
Yeah, what's going on?
It's good to see you. Have a seat, please. Silvermane has just briefed us all on this, and we thought it important for everyone to know. So, for those of you who got here just a little late, just letting you know, Silvermane did some calculations and some surveying, and we have maybe half a year of operation left in the mine before we are dry.
Let's turn our session back to Zermos in the Great Basin.
Are you heading directly for the threat?
Yes, with all speed.
You make your way to a clearing, and there is a creature that looks like a wolf. Do you have your dice with you?
I do.
Roll me a knowledge check.
Okay. My character sheet looks. Oh, there it is. There's the page I'm looking for. Rolling that bad boy. That is a natural 1.
What a weird looking dog. The wolf-like creature turns to you, and you see an ugly, almost bare flesh face. And its jaws are covered in blood.
Gonna make like a perception check to see if I can see what it's been eating.
There is a dead she-boar in front of it.
Oh.
Do you interrupt my hunt?
And I guess this wolf speaks common.
This wolf-like thing with the bare face speaks common.
Tell me your name and why you are here now.
I don't give my names to two legs, and I am here to hunt. Perhaps I should turn my hunt elsewhere. Roll initiative.
Alrighty. Alright, so my initiative bonus is 2. So with that natural 4, that gives me 6.
Okay. Well, you lucked out, and it got a 4. So.
I will take it.
Okay. What's your first action? You're in range to hit.
I'm in range to hit. I'm going to do a 2-handed spear attack on this wolf bear man.
Roll to attack.
All right, that's awesome. That is another natural 1.
Okay.
So that's a miss, I'm guessing.
Your spear is turned aside on its ugly, hideous face, and it busts you in the chest hard. You take 2 points of damage from that. That's your consequence for a nat 1. Okay, does a 12 hit you?
12 is a miss.
12 is a miss. Okay. It snarls and bites back at you and just draws empty air as you step back.
Too quick for it. I think I'm at 8 HP to be fair. I think you said you hit me for 2 points of damage. And I started at 10.
That's right. Okay, so smack that bastard. Or do what you want to do.
I'm going to try again with the spear. Hopefully not get a 1. All right. And I have a +3 to hit if I do two-handed. That is a 12.
12 hits.
+3, 15. 1d8 plus 1 piercing.
Okay, so roll your d8.
That is 5.
Okay, you hit it hard, getting it into the ribs. It looks rough already. You see some wolves that were on the edge of the clearing turn tail and run. Actual wolves, not whatever this thing is.
Oh, okay. All right. So,
It misses again.
okay.
And your response?
I'm going to try and finish it off. I'm going to stab it with the dagger. A little higher to attack bonus.
Okay.
That is a 5 plus 4 for a 9.
No, 9 does not hit.
No.
Does 14 hit?
14 is a hit.
It's 4 damage to you.
Ooh, boy. I am at half health.
I sincerely recommend using any spell at your disposal that can do damage if you have any.
Can I do produce flame? Is that
Could you read the spell description for me?
a flickering flame appears in your hand? The flame remains there for the duration and harms neither you nor your equipment. The flame sheds bright light in a 10-foot radius and dim light for an additional 10 feet. The spell ends if you dismiss it as an action. If you can cast it again. Oh, it says you can also attack with the flame.
Okay.
Although doing so ends the spell. When you cast a spell or action on a later turn, you can hurl the flame at a creature within 30 feet of you. Make a ranged spell attack. On a hit, damage takes 1d8 fire.
Okay. I'll just go ahead and let you do that. Go ahead and make your ranged spell attack.
Okay. Oh, beautiful. That is another nat 1.
Well, because it's you doing the damage, I'm not going to make it whole. Yeah, I'm going to do that. Does 1 damage to you.
Held it too long.
Okay, and we already established a 12 doesn't hit, right?
A 12 is a miss.
Okay. You have one more opportunity. This thing looks nearly dead.
I'm just going to go right back to reliable. Going to try two-handed with the spear. That is a 14 plus 3, 17 to hit.
You hit.
1d8 plus 1. That is an 8 plus 1. 8 points of damage and 1 piercing.
You shoved your spear straight down this thing's throat and through its lower spine.
Oh,
Lift it up and throw it to the side. Whatever wolves already weren't running away are running away now.
all right. Can I look at the dead body to see why this weird looking, like what, you know what I mean? Like get a close, like autopsy look at it.
Okay, I'm going to let you re-roll on your knowledge check.
Which modifier do I do for that one? Or do I do anything?
That's going to be intelligence.
So that is a 17 plus 3. That is 20.
That is a warg. It's similar to a wolf, but it's evil.
Ooh.
Like, these things are born evil. They're cruel, malicious, and near as you can tell, this one was starving. Any warg in peak physical condition would have killed you.
Well, lucky for that. Didn't have the best luck there. So can I inspect the boar that he ate?
Yeah.
Does it seem like it was contaminated with it? If this thing was looking all crazy? Can I see if it's like sick or if it was just mauled?
Are you talking about its face?
Right.
That's
yeah.
what a warg's face looks like.
A boar?
No. Oh, the boar.
Yeah.
The boar. Okay.
Yeah.
The boar is dead. But you hear a little and a little squeal beneath the boar.
Okay, I will slowly, gingerly roll the mother over and see if I can see where that sound's coming from. Sounds like maybe a piglet.
A little black nose pokes its way out beneath its dead mother. And you can feel the sorrow radiating off this poor creature.
Come, little friend. Come. And I move over to console the little guy.
Yeah.
Or girl. Can I inspect it to see if it's been harmed or was it bitten or attacked or anything like that?
It looks like its mother just laid on top of it to keep it from being hurt.
You know, little friend, sometimes life is not fair. How about you come with me? Is he responding? Is he shaking? Is he scared?
Yeah. He kind of just leans up against your leg and also cries.
Mm. Yes, losing mothers are terrible things. I know. So let's do this. Let's get you something to eat, and you can help me on my adventure.
That seems like a good place to turn our eyes back to the robbery in progress.
2 people on horseback, one of them with a crossbow and one of them with a sword.
All right. Well, I'm gonna pull up my trident, but not hold it aggressively. Like just have it down by my side and go up to him as quickly as I can. And Mr. Biggs, are we having a problem here?
I believe what we have here are 2 bandits, Ruin. And I'm trying to assess whether or not it's just 2 or if they got more on the sides. Well, we never said anything about anybody on the sides. But we definitely have we have 50 men on the sides, Bruce. We have 550 men on the sides. That's definitely true. And they should give us all their goods if they don't want these men to just come out of the woods and, kill them all for their chickens and stuff.
I'm going to raise my trident and try to use my intimidation and just say, who do you think you are to attack us? Rogues.
Roll for intimidation.
I did so poorly. 6.
I'm Bruce, and that's Jeff. Hi.
Hello.
You get the distinct feeling that these people are too dumb to be intimidated.
Okay. Oh, that's helpful. Let me see. Obviously, they sound like they don't actually have people on the side.
Do you want to roll for that, or you just want to?
I don't know. It sounded like that. I could roll for it. So, insight, investigation, perception.
Roll insight. Roll insight. whichever one you feel good about.
Got an 18, so all of them are good.
Okay, these guys are fucking liars. That crossbow isn't even freaking real.
Nice. All right.
Near as you can tell, there is actually a law in the area that allows people to be let off much more easily if they don't actually have a weapon when they attempt a robbery.
Mhm.
And from what you've heard, people try to get around that by robbing people with fake weapons.
Can I disarm them, or do I have to try to knock them out?
I'm going to say we're going to do opposing strength checks. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
Okay, and you'll have to do them one at a time. Who are you going for first?
Which one's shorter?
Jeff is short and skinny, and Bruce is tall and wide.
I'll do Bruce first.
Okay, Bruce is the one with the crossbow, fake crossbow.
And I did 9.
Okay, let's see what happens, because you can still get this. Was that with your added ability score?
That was with my ability bonus. Then I rolled a 6. So I don't. And let me look and see.
Do you have proficiency on strength checks?
I don't see anything, and I don't see a proficiency in strength.
Well, I'm not entirely too worried about it because Bruce has rolled a 2.
Good job, Bruce.
So you're not exactly just on your game with it, but as you reach your trident forward to get it between the little prongs, it falls to pieces. You think this may have been put together with like spit rather than glue. Like it's not great.
Just doesn't want anyone to think he's dangerous.
He bought a child's toy and painted it black, as near as you can tell.
Nice.
And he looks down at it, and he looks up at you, and he looks back down at the trident. Oh, Jeff? Yeah, Bruce. You think they'd let us run away? Why would we do that when we got 550 guys on the sides? Bruce just turns slowly to Jeff. I thought we made that up. And Jeff just kind of rests his head in his hands. Run away. And they just charge out of there as fast as they can. You got an attack of opportunity if you want it.
I'll just let him go. They don't seem actually dangerous.
And Mr. Biggs looks and goes, what the hell was that?
I don't know. They were threatening you?
Maybe? We'll report it at the next town anyway. I don't know. I don't like dealing with the officers.
Well, anybody that they succeed at robbing probably deserves it. They're clearly incompetent.
Yeah. Them and all 552 of them, apparently.
We don't need to bother ourselves with the authorities. Give it to some other do-gooder. We have plenty on our plate.
Yeah. They started accusing us of stealing chickens and children, and I really don't like that mess. It's not fun.
They have to earn our help. They have yet to show us enough respect. So I think we should just keep going.
Well, I'm glad you said something to them because I was about to make a call for Samantha, and he holds up a little whistle around his neck. And the wife doesn't like it when I do that. Well, all right. We're about 5 miles out. Should make it there before daylight to the Stone Helm. We'll make camp there and set up. You getting along all right with everybody this time? No fights?
Look, it was just one time. Okay, 7 times. They deserved it. At any rate, let's not talk about that. Do you have anyone scouting? I'm wondering if we should actually be paying a little more attention if that's what's happening.
What's the point of traveling in a group if you end up having to scout? We're not a war band.
I don't know. What's the point? Do you remember that time on the plains? I certainly don't want to go through that again. I mean, it was kind of fun, but it's still, like, at a point, there's only so much blood you can handle. Maybe one scout. Do we have somebody who could just maybe go a little bit ahead or watch the woods? I don't know.
Yeah. But then they're going to ask for more money.
Fine, I can do it. I
Are
wasn't.
you going to ask for more money?
You are never going to pay me enough. I know that. Fine.
Well, okay. I mean, do you still want to do it?
Want is the wrong. I'm just saying, yes, I'll do it. Because the reality is, if I don't go scout, and we end up having that happen again, I'll have to fight anyway. You're not going to pay me for that because I have to save my life.
Can you ride a horse?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have a horse?
Yes. Now we have horses in the circus.
We have horses. Do you have a horse?
Yes.
Because, I might have to charge you for the horse.
Oh, you're not charging me for anything if I'm scouting for you.
All right, that's fair. That's fair.
I just give him kind of a look. Like it's clearly an old exchange for us.
We have a deal. Go ahead. Go off scouting.
Okay.
Go to the bridge and back, and we'll see. Yeah.
All right. I shall do that.
You get the horse and go to the bridge then?
Yes.
Is handle animal still a check on your sheet?
Animal handling is a check.
Okay, roll for me.
I get a 10.
You do fine. You get up, and there's a stone bridge going across a large riverbank, and there's a toll house on one side. And sitting underneath this bridge is a large gray humanoid just sitting patiently and waiting on a chair that looks like it's meant for a man half his size and is creaking underneath his weight.
Does he see me?
He's writing down notes in a journal.
Okay.
He basically looks like a giant. He looks like some sort of giant.
Okay. No, I'm just like, would I recognize his race or his,
You're not sure. You're really not.
Okay. Which side of the bridge is he on? This side or the other?
The side you're on.
Okay. I'll hop off the horse and approach him cautiously.
Now, with that, I believe Lady Falwell had some bad news that she needed to continue delivering.
I don't think I need to say to everyone how disastrous it is for a mining town to not have a mine.
Right.
So, please, all make your plans accordingly. Revenant, I know you largely subsist as a tutor in this area, but chances are once the mine is dry, there won't be people left in town for you to tutor. You need to be thinking about where you want to go and what you want to do with your life, because I'm afraid there's not going to be anything here for... And you see she's struggling a little bit. She just pauses a minute, and she looks at the empty chair that sits at the head. And you know it's the chair she has left empty ever since her father died. And that's been about 10 years now. And she sighs, and she puts a hand on the arm of it. I'll need to be thinking about what I want to do here as well. I don't know what we can do to keep the town afloat as long as possible, at least long enough for people to transition to a new way of life. But over the coming days, be thinking of that. We have time to think, and we have time to plan. And that's all I really had to say tonight. So, if you don't mind me, I'll excuse myself. Revenant, you're something of a holy man, and I see Father Mayswell isn't with us tonight. Would you care to advise me for a little bit in private?
Certainly.
And she brings you upstairs to the sitting room that adjoins to her private chambers. And she sits down, and she puts her elbows on the coffee table, her head in her hands. Revenant.
Yes, my lady.
I wanted to apologize to you specifically over this. I know you were wanting to settle down somewhere again. I know what it's like to have your entire life uplifted and upheaved. And I know that happened to you too. And I don't know, maybe if I was better at this, it wouldn't be happening to everyone again. But I swear I'm doing the best I can.
It's not your fault there. It's not your fault there. Those mines are older than anything in these mountain ranges. Those mines have been a long time coming. We all knew at some point in time we'd have to leave everything behind. And personally, as long as I can find good company, I'm fine.
But I know about the Grim Revenant. I know you didn't want to tell everybody because there are reasons, but I think my grandfather may have had dealings with it as well. It can't leave its bones, can it?
No, it cannot.
When the time comes for you to leave, I'll discreetly get a carriage together for you and your compatriots, and I will help you distract Father Mayswell, and we'll take the Grimm's bones out from its resting place in the graveyard, and we will tell no one.
I'm not entirely sure if it's a good idea.
Will you just stay here then?
My followers, the followers of a Grimm, we are very self-sufficient. I think we could make it a few years.
Well, property prices are sure to go down in that time. Set some money aside, and I'm sure you can have a nice little... Hell, you could probably buy the town hall from me at that point.
You know, you've been a good boss to me, and I hope the Grimm watches over you and makes sure that your life is not one of misery. I know this town means a lot to you, especially after your dad died. I think you've done a good job of running things. I know many people are grateful that you're the one in power.
She hugs you. Like, it's an awkward hug, like a really awkward hug because you are so much smaller than her. It's like when you give a little kid a hug.
I hug her back. Embracing me probably doesn't feel too great. It's very cold.
All right. Okay. You need to leave or I'm going to start crying again. Just know I appreciate you. Thank you.
If you ever set up somewhere else and you need an advisor, just send a raven.
Do you see her kind of mouth the words with like a furled eyebrow? Raven?
And Mikey, now that I think about it, let's come back to this. What exactly is Zarmos' living situation?
Do you have a hut in the area?
It's kind of more like a lean-to. Zermos is not big on furniture, not really necessary. I spend most of the day in the forest itself, so this is just a place to sleep and do a little cooking.
And you bring it into the lean-to?
Yeah, just bring my new friend with me.
When you set him down, he instantly goes to where you had collected some mushrooms and overturns the little piece of cloth they were under and eats all of your mushrooms.
Easy.
It wasn't that many mushrooms.
I was saving those.
It continues eating the mushrooms.
Well, you know what? You've had a hard day, so if you want to eat all of my mushrooms that were specially picked for me, then now look at them.
It eats all but one mushroom and noses it over to you.
Would you look at that? I will take this last slobbery mushroom that you have drooled all over.
It looks at you incredibly reproachful.
Well, I'm just saying, those were my mushrooms that you ate without asking. If you would have asked, I would have given it to you. It's fine. Just take here.
You would swear its eyebrows are raising.
He throws his hands up and just nudges with the tip of his finger. He nudges them. He's like, you can have it. You can have it. You are very thin-skinned.
It eats the last mushroom.
See, I knew it. I knew you wanted it. If you wanted it, you should have just eaten it.
It is now rooting around for other things to eat.
Is there... I think I will gather a couple blankets, just kind of tuck them underneath where my cot would sit, and just give him a little comfortable spot to sleep out of the way. I'll take a couple of other perishables. Like I got an apple that I was saving, but I'll put that in the blanket to try to lure him away from all of the food and just more towards the food in his bed.
It works. He eats what you gave him and he goes to sleep.
Well, I never expected this today.
Off in the distance, you hear some singing. For I have loved you all so long, delighting in your company. And it's the sound of a very loud human going through the woods.
Stealthily, I want to identify the person singing it, but I don't want them to see me. I want to stay behind the trees, but get a closer
Roll
look
me a
to
stealth
see.
check.
Stealth check. That is a 14 plus 2, 16.
Okay, you managed to do just fine.
And what do they look like?
It looks like a tall, lean human man with jet black hair, strumming on his lute and singing as he walks. And you see that he has a donkey.
Will cautiously leave the trees and my friend.
Oh, what the who the hell are you?
And back to the time and place where Ruin has just gotten the attention of some sort of giant.
Hail and well met, traveler.
Ew, what are you doing on this fine day?
I'm just working,
Working?
manning the toll bridge.
Toll bridge? What is the toll?
Runs about 2 copper a person. It's for maintenance, setting in new cobbles into the work, making sure that things work just fine. 2 copper a person and a silver a horse.
Seems kind of steep.
Horses are murder on the bridge.
What kind of bridge is it? Is it stone?
It's stone.
I want to do an insight, maybe. I don't know. I think he's full of crap.
Okay, roll me an insight.
I got a 3.
That seems reasonable.
Yeah, sure. I haven't heard of a toll to get to Stonehelm, so I'm not sure.
You haven't heard of the Stonehelm Bridge? I'm a toll troll. You not know what a toll troll is?
No.
I'm a toll troll. My father was a toll troll. His father was a toll troll. And his father was a bridge builder.
That seems like a good family setup there.
Really is. It's hard to meet other trolls doing this, but getting my daughter married off has been difficult. We don't need to go into it.
Well, I'm not ready to cross the bridge. I'll cross that bridge when I get to it.
But you're at the bridge now.
I am, but I'm not at the bridge yet.
What? But it's right there.
I get.
You're standing at it. This bridge.
Well, yes, that's true. I understand that, and I need to go think about this.
Okay. I mean, you only got the horse and yourself. It's not that much for just one person and a horse. If you need to, you can barter. I mean, if you got some.
Looking at him.
And he hauls. You got some
berries, magic seeds.
I was thinking more along the lines of chicken eggs, maybe a ham, like a few slices of ham. I'd be good with.
Few slices of ham. All right. How wide is the bridge? Like, is the whole caravan going to be able to get across this?
Yeah, whole caravans are going to be able to get across. That's why you guys are here. It's the only bridge for miles that'll let you cross the Stonehelm River.
Gotcha. So I'm assuming Mr. Biggs knew about it.
Mr. Biggs has a way of assuming things.
Gotcha. Great. I'm going to go back to him and let him pay for that.
Okay.
Otherwise, I didn't see anything concerning, or did I see any signs of the fake robbers that ran away?
No, you didn't.
All right. I'll hop on the horse and go back to Mr. Biggs and let him know that we're at least clear to the toll bridge. See how he responds to the information if there's a toll bridge.
A toll bridge? The hell's a toll?
You don't know what a toll is?
Like a toll road? Like, I've been on roads before to pay tolls, but a bridge?
Yeah, there's a very large, giant-looking, calls himself a troll, toll troll, waiting for us to come give him money so we can cross the bridge.
Oh. Did he say how much?
Silver per horse, 2 coppers per person. I assume as the leader of the circus, you're covering us.
Would you let all the people who were traveling with us know, who aren't part of the circus? Tell that Johnny Two Pints. He seems to know everybody.
Yeah, I'll let Johnny Two Pints know.
It doesn't take you long to find Johnny at all, and he doesn't seem surprised as he just looks at you and says,
I'm familiar with the toll trolls. Yeah, we knew it was coming.
That's good. I'm glad to know that you did know that.
Is this your first time at Stonehelm?
What did you negotiate for your toll? I'm just curious.
I played him a song.
I'll let, after I finish talking to Johnny, I'll let, he could barter if he wants to. Yeah, no, it's my first time to Stonehelm.
Oh, well, it's very dwarvish, but other than that, it's all right. And, like, you see a few dwarves in the traveling party just kind of look at him reproachfully.
What don't you like about dwarvish?
No, they're foreign.
So are you.
And he thinks about it a little bit, and he goes, well, yeah, but I'm the right kind of foreign. And, like, the dwarves are kind of, like, looking at their traditional axes on their belts.
I just don't even know what to say to that.
He's like, okay.
I mean, I've met a lot of dwarves. Be a little gruff. Always interesting. Oh, a lot about stone, and gems, digging.
And gold, pipes up a dwarf.
Yep. And they're some of the best performers in our circus. There's some real fun there.
What about the clown?
Right, clown.
The clown in the green tent. You don't have a clown in the green tent. You don't even have a green tent, by the way.
Okay. What are you talking about?
The clown.
Okay. Can you point to this clown?
I mean, I saw him when you were performing in the last city.
You're gonna have to give me more details.
The clown? I don't know. I don't know more details than that. He had bells and like a black and white face and bells.
Does that sound familiar to me at all?
No, that does not sound familiar.
Not even like some kind of circus lore or anything like that, or they're not a
No, not even. Like, there's rumors of a circus ghost, but that's all the circus lore you can think of that's weird.
Is he humanoid?
The circus ghost?
No, is he human? Like Johnny? Like is he a?
Yeah, Johnny's human.
Okay. Wait. What did you see the clown do? Was he performing? What was? Did you go into the green tent?
I went into the green tent, and he juggled mallets, and let them all hit his own head, and then just kept on juggling them. Big mallets too.
I'm gonna go tell Mr. Biggs about that, and that he can barter the thing.
Okay, you tell Mr. Biggs about the clown?
Yeah.
I swear that has to be the most awful running joke I have ever heard. Every time we go somewhere, I swear the makeup guy is just telling people to tell me about that to piss me off because we don't have a clown. We don't have a clown. I know other circuses have clowns, but they're creepy. They're creepy. Back me up on this one. Clowns are creepy.
They really are. It's one of the things that I have appreciated about our circus.
Yeah.
We don't have any.
Yeah.
Do you say this happens in every town?
Every single town. Somebody always wants to tell me about the clown in the green tent and how good it is. And I swear it's William that does it every time. William's got to be the one telling him. He's doing it just to mess with me.
I love messing with you too. However, why would William do that? He's usually so, boring.
Yeah. But anyway.
I could ask him.
It's not that important. But No, don't waste any more time on it. It's not even worth worrying about. End of story. Not worth worrying about. It's just not.
Huh. Does he seem sincere, or does he seem like he's hiding something?
He seems irritated.
Okay, I'll let it go for now.
And you guys get to the toll troll. Roll me perception.
7.
He is wearing a hat that he wasn't wearing before, and it looks familiar.
Familiar how? Like, what does it look like?
Like you had seen it today. It's like a simple brown leather hat with like a little bit of fur around the front of it.
Bruce wearing it?
Bruce was wearing it.
Huh. Well met.
Well met. Decided to cross after all.
I just wanted to wait for my party.
You could have given me a little heads up. I got all this paperwork and forms to fill out now.
You know, to tell you the truth, I just didn't think of it.
All right, he like starts passing out logbooks to people and stuff like that, and has them like writing down their names and stuff. How many people? Everyone takes care of their own. A few of the people traveling with you trade chicken eggs. Some trade some yams and corn and the sort. And he lets you all cross.
That went much more smoothly than I expected. I can tell, Mr. Biggs.
Yeah, I didn't even know that toll trolls were a thing. It's odd to me.
Well, that is odd to me since you are so well traveled.
Well, I've never
Seems
been to
like-
Stonehelm before. I heard they had a bumper crop this year, if that's even what they call it with regards to mining.
Oh.
Thought they'd pay for a little entertainment in their good fortune.
Well, hopefully you're right. And we make back we just spent getting there. Think we'll have any other nasty surprises? Or I guess that wasn't so nasty. It's mostly inconvenient.
Well, there's the city walls. Nice big field there. We'll set up, and then I'll take care of whoever gets pissed off about us using their field.
All right, I'll go help the.
Would you go check on Isabella setting up her tent? She seems to struggle with it more every year. She's getting on there.
Isabella.
Isabella is the fortune teller.
Yeah, I'll go help her.
All right. And it's this old woman, tall, skinny, hunched over, doesn't really have any of her teeth left. And the past few times, what she's been doing is she's just been having the window to her wagon open up and telling fortunes from in there, because she doesn't want to go through the effort of setting the table and the tent up, because it's getting hard on her.
Yeah.
Ruin, how are you today?
Happy to be stopping for the night. Look forward to settling into one place for a little bit and getting to explore the town. Let me help you get your tent set up. I don't have much to do today.
I'm just going to open up the wagon flap, and I'm going to call it good.
I know, but I don't have much to do today, and I don't want Mr. Biggs to make me do something. You know how he is. So if you let me set up your tent, then I won't have a disgusting job over by the horse poo or whatever.
All right, Rowan, I'll let you do it.
Right, thank you, appreciate it.
And as you start, she grabs your arm, and it's so much stronger than you would think a woman of her size.
And we stop with Ruin's session as this elderly lady stares past her with vacant, haunted eyes, and we turn back to Revenant, who has just left Town Hall.
Where are you going now?
I'd like to imagine that I'm teaching some merchant's child about geography. So I'm going to write down in a notebook a to-do list of things to do in the morning, one of which is to go buy a map. I'm going to head home. Is the tavern part open still, or is that closed down too?
Mr. Cathaw is still there. And there's somebody checking into a room. Somebody you've never seen before. And He is, near as you can tell, got at least a little bit of elfish in him, wearing a fine red tailed coat with very impressive boots, matching belt, and a fine ring, a matching little thing on his wrist. You don't know quite what it is. It appears to be some sort of jewelry. And at his feet appears to be a moving block of wood. It almost looks like a tabletop lectern, a box with hinges to open up so that you can pull out ink and stuff like that. It is that with little short, stubby wooden legs and a handle on one side that's lolling about like a tongue as it excitedly just walks around sniffing things. And this man looks at Mr. Cathar. And yes, I was very much hoping that you would be able to sign this ledger in addition. I need that for in my expense report. It can't be in my own handwriting, you see. They don't approve of that at the office. And Mr. Cathar nods, and he puts a big X right where his name's supposed to go.
Have I met an artificer before? I'm sure I would have read about one.
You don't know who this man is, but you know what an artificer is in general. Are you assuming this man's an artificer?
I'm thinking that that's just his homunculus servant, and that he's an artificer. But I wouldn't say anything about it. I wouldn't assume that to his face. I guess I will walk up to him and say, "How's it going, mate? Interesting box you got."
He looks around, and he looks to his left, and he looks to his right, and he looks behind him.
Aye, down here, mate.
And then he looks down. Oh, hello there.
Interesting box you got.
Oh, thank you. It was a gift from my parents for my graduation.
Ah, see, I thought you were an artificer.
No. My training never took me that far. I'm an actuary, you see.
Ah, all right. So, you fancy a drink?
Oh, you know, it's late. It's after hours. I'm not technically on the clock anymore. Yeah. What do you people drink around here?
Special rock gut. Silverbound rock gut.
Cathar nods. It's got bitter apples in it.
Put us down for 2. How much am I gonna owe you?
I'll put it on your tab.
Ah, thanks, mate.
He sits down with you. And as he sits down, the little lectern looking thing pops into his lap and it opens up, revealing a writing desk. And he closes it up. No, not tonight. Not working it right now. Kind of whines in a disappointed tone.
So, where are you from?
You know, I'm not sure you'd be familiar with the area. It's really hard to say. Where are you from?
I'm from Mointop. Technically, I'm from the Silverbound Mines, right? Well, the Underdark villages of the Silverbound Mines.
Oh, I've only heard of the Underdark. I haven't ever seen anything there.
You're not missing much, unless you can see really well in the dark. It's pretty much sightless.
Elf on my father's family, so, you know, I can see a bit.
Yeah, but I mean really good in the dark, mate. You surface dwellers think you can see in the dark. Nah. Down there, the only light you get down there is luminescent mushrooms. Pretty, but dangerous. I will take a swig of the Silverbone rot gut.
He takes a swig of it too.
What you think of that, mate?
You each drink one in, and he kind of Silverbone rot gut is not something to be messed with. And you can tell after a little bit, he is tipsy. And you think he might be more open to answering questions now.
So, what necessarily do you do for work? I kind of caught the tail end of your conversation with Mr. Cathar.
Oh, I'm an actuary. I go through and I look at different properties and I see what they're worth and I assign values to them and I just make sure everything's in order and tidy and then I submit it to the Department of Acquisitions and they determine, whether or not a piece of property is worth buying. And then I facilitate the purchase and facilitate the integration.
So, which property are you here about?
Whole thing.
Ah. So, what do you think this tiny town is worth?
Oh, it's hard to tell. Largely, it'd be based upon what's left in the mining deposits and stuff like that. Right now, sight unseen, not even looking at the mines, just looking around everything, I can see that most people have moved out. There are a lot of, sagging roofs and stuff like that. And, you take a look at it, the grass isn't very well maintained anymore. It's clear this town's suffering from not having enough people in it like it's meant to have. Put it on the decline. In its heyday, it would probably be worth probably 2.5 million marks. But right now, I'd put it at 1.2.
Interesting.
Of course, that's without knowing the conditions of the mines. The mines themselves, they may either complicate matters or add value to it. I'll go and I'll speak to the. What do you people have? A mayor?
Yeah, we got something like a mayor. Lady Falwell is who you really want to be speaking to.
Royalty is.
Yeah, she technically owns this entire place, right?
Okay, I think that's a good point to turn back to Zermos scaring the shit out of a stranger.
I am Zermos.
I'm sorry, you
live
just
in-
scared me. Just hopping out like that in the middle. That could have really hurt you if you. Yeah.
I meant not to cause an alarm. I simply wonder, why are you here, friend?
Well, I'm a rover. I'm Johnny Two Pints, the traveling minstrel.
You are a traveling minstrel?
I'm a minstrel and I travel. Yes.
Fair enough, but why? What brings you to this forest?
It looked neat.
Well, can I help you find something?
No, I was just gonna travel, because I'm a traveling minstrel. So I minstrel and I travel.
Where have you come from?
Well, I was just coming from Thanesville, just to the north of the basin, just before you hit the road. You travel there occasionally to pick up supplies, things that you can't get in the wild. Maybe occasionally to sell things you find in the forest.
Okay. Do you have anything that you'd be willing to trade, since you have just come from the last city north of the basin?
Well, I gotta be honest. I thought the donkey was a good idea at first, but I'm just really thinking it crafts my style. And the cart, too. I never travel. I travel light. I don't know why I thought I needed a cart. I guess I just had money burning a hole in my pocket.
You are a very curious traveling minstrel that usually has a cart. Well, now has a cart, but doesn't like cart, but likes the. You confuse me.
Look, You promised not to judge me too harshly.
Oh, you have my word. And then he crosses his tail. He crosses his tail behind his back.
I was trying to impress a girl. Don't laugh.
How did it go? Did it work?
Yes, it definitely worked, and it did not end terribly.
Well, I should say that this cart was a great idea.
You want to buy a cart?
I have no use for such thing. I too like to travel light.
And then Zermos remembers that he has to collect a whole bunch of clippings from the Bristlecone grandfather and transport them across the world.
Oh, that's a lot. Need a card. Gotta talk this guy into his card. My friend, there are dangerous animals in this forest, and I just found a warg, which is very unusual, and I think this cart with the donkey attached could make you a target.
Really?
I think maybe you should give me the cart and then take the rest of your journey on foot. I think that is the safest thing for you to do right now.
I did not expect Zermos to take this route, but okay. Go ahead and roll me persuasion.
Persuasion. Oh, got to use that sweet charisma bonus. That is a 5 with my +4.
A 9?
For
You
9.
still have a chance. Congratulations, my friend. You just barely made that. And he looks and goes, oh no, I did pay good money for it. Let me think.
The wogs, donkeys are their favorite food.
Hey, where'd you get that gash on your arm there?
This
Yeah.
This is where the beast. He caught me by surprise, and
I'll be honest. I thought you were shitting me there for a second. You know what? I got my loot. I got my backpack. I'm good to go. You take the donkey. I forget her name, but yeah.
Oh, I will ask the creature later.
Okay. So I think I'm just gonna get out of this forest.
That is a great idea. Safety should be paramount.
Maybe make my way back to Thainesville. Might go to Mine Top. Mine Top be a good place to go. It's a safe place.
Mine Top. Yes, there are record lows in wogs in Mine Top at the moment.
I don't think Mine Top's ever had a warg.
Exactly.
I mean,
no place safer then.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna get out of here, and yeah, you take care, Mr. Hermos. Zermos, yes. And if you're traveling, well, I'm sure I'll see you again. It's Johnny Two Pints.
Now, Johnny, I want you to be safe and go directly to Mine Top. I will keep this animal safe.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I'll do that.
Now back to Isla. Isabella still has a firm grip on you, and in her eyes you see black night and stardust.
Ruin, listen and heed my words. On the town of Waning Silver, a man of the Gilded Empire has set his sights. There he undermines their foundations to bring them to unearned heights. Subjugated and subjected they all will be, brought low by a creature without body. Fate has been broken, her eyes cracked and hazy. The stone gives the bodiless threat power over her. To ruin all shall turn, else the whole world be left to burn.
And I really appreciate the help.
Excuse me? What?
I said I really appreciate the help. I know you're trying to just let me just have a little bit of dignity in my old age, but I really do appreciate it, Ruin.
Welcome. Has she ever done anything like that before? I mean,
In the past, she has just read palms and talked to people and read cards and stuff like that. She often talks about how the whole trade is bullshit, where you just use misdirection and talk about general things in order to confuse people and make them think that there's something special about them.
okay. I I'm not gonna ask her about it right now. I'm
Yep.
just gonna help her with her tent.
You see Johnny Two Pints looking up from across the caravans, and he has dropped his 2 pints into the ground, just looking at what has just occurred.
Okay.
And he just starts walking away. So you know Johnny Two Pints has heard it.
Well, I'll go. I'll tell Isabella. Isabella, I'll be right back. I want to ask Johnny 2 Points something real quick, and I'll run up to him. Johnny, did you hear what?
And you
Isabella
see
just said?
he's actually writing in a notebook.
I'm gonna give him a second.
And he gets done, and he looks up, then he looks down, and he closes the notebook carefully. Well, what can I do for you?
Well, it seems to me like maybe you just heard what Isabella said. I'm wondering what you heard.
Maybe I did. Maybe I heard something. What would you be willing to give me if I did?
Oh, well, let's think about that. I know. A good opinion.
What?
A good opinion.
What do you mean a good opinion?
I mean, I would think well of you.
He like strokes his chin a little bit, and he looks at you.
I'm trying to be my most charming self here.
Okay, roll persuasion.
9.
Was Mrs. Isabel the one who made that lovely roast chicken I could smell the other night?
I believe she was.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but she shared it with you.
Yes.
A man might like a hookup if there's some roast chicken in the future.
Definitely. I'm going to set her tent up tonight, so I expect she'll cook tonight or tomorrow. I would be happy to bring you along for dinner.
And he pulls out his notebook. All right. On the town of Wayne and Silver, a man of the golden? Was it golden or gilded?
Gilded.
I think gilded. Empire has set his sights. There he undermines their foundations to bring them to unearned heights. Subjugated? Was it subjugated? Twice? That seems weird. Subjugated and subjugated, they will all be brought low by a creature with no body. Fate has been broken, her eyes cracked and hazy. The stone gives the bodiless threat power over her. To ruin all shall turn, else the whole world be left to burn. So, that was some scary shit.
Yes.
She often do that.
I have never in the last 8 years heard her say anything like that to anyone ever.
About shit myself. But, never one to pass up a good chicken.
Well, I don't think you have to worry about her doing that again.
All right. I think I'm gonna. Yeah, I'm gonna set my tent up. He leaves. All right, and that is the end of Ruins Session 0.
With that, I believe Revenant was in the middle of making a friend.
All right, right as you're talking, the door busts down, and in come 2 goons. All right, this here's a stick up. You're going to give us all the money, you see, all the money you have, and you're not going to make a fuss. Yeah, not going to make a fuss. No fuss, no fuss, no fuss allowed. You're not going to make a fuss, and you're going to give us the money, and we're going to walk out of here, and that's what's going to happen.
Excuse me one moment, mate. All right. So, you want all the money?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Let me get a little closer to you so I can put it right in your hands, mate. Is that okay? May I approach?
And he's kind of looking at you. Just can you put it on the ground?
No, can't. Weak knees.
Uh,
Come on.
But
I'm just gonna hand it to you.
how's that work? He's already so close to the ground.
Mate, lots happened in my life. You don't come out of the Underdark without a few scars. Come on, I'm trying to play ball with you. Just gonna come over, give you some money, send you on your way. Here.
What does Revenant look like when he's saying this?
It's really hard to insight him because he's wearing a mask and goggles, right? He drinks through the mask. He doesn't take it off or anything.
I want you to roll an intimidate check for me because this is kind of scary.
I got a 19. I got double 19s too.
The man hisses himself as you take a step forward.
I keep walking forward. Come on, mate.
And they run out the door. Just run. Screaming.
Yeah, pathetic show ponies. Come in here acting tough.
Yeah, that's certainly the case. And as you look back to the actuary, as he identified himself, because I don't think you asked for his name, you see that he is in fact holding a crossbow.
At me?
No.
Oh.
Right about on head level with the other guy. You're not entirely sure when he took it out.
Oh, can I take a look at that? Fine craftsmanship.
Yeah, sure. And he takes the bolt out and he hands it to you.
Where'd you get this piece?
Oh, I got that in my hometown. They make wonderful things. But that's a custom job. Got a custom stock for myself, walnut, which, they don't make them better than they do in brass vein.
Brass vein.
Yeah.
I'll have to stop over there sometime. See about getting my Kopesh engraved.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure you take some time there. Take a look at it.
Would I know anything about brass vein?
You think he might be pulling your leg because last you heard of that was in a book referencing towns that disappeared.
So did they rebuild brass vein?
Several times. Things have a way of happening there. Don't tell me you haven't heard of brass vein.
Yeah, I've heard stories.
Well, no. It's one of those weird things. Everywhere I go, if anybody's heard about it, it's just in stories. And, for me, it's just my hometown. Wake up, go to school, turn around, suddenly you're 24 and you got to get a job and you take what you can get.
It's just how I've heard that brass vein disappeared.
That can't be right.
Maybe it was just misinformation.
I'm sorry. What's your name?
Oh, I'm Revenant. What's your name, mate?
He shakes your hand and he takes his crossbow back. Harold Gulfos.
Nice to meet you, Harold.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what. Next time I'm back in Brass Vein, I'll send you some of our local brew.
I bet you it's not as strong as Silverbone Rock Gut.
I'm sure it's not, but it has its own bouquet, as it were.
Ah, sure. Well, maybe I'll come with you. Honestly, I'll need a change of scenery, if you know what I mean.
there's forms and paperwork to fill out if you want to actually go into the city. But yeah, always better to travel in numbers when you can, especially around here with your bandits who piss themselves.
Honestly, I tend to have that effect on people. I don't know why. I try to be friendly. What can you do?
Well, anyway, I think it is time I got to my room and wrote up my report and got to bed.
Yeah, certainly. I'll see you around, mate. If you ever have any questions about the surrounding area,
Do you know where I could pick up some boiled linseed oil? The lap desk is getting a little peakish, and it just does good to get him some every now and then.
would I know where to pick up boiled linseed oil?
So you know that the local carpenter, Mr. Fisher, has some. He uses it in his woodwork.
Yeah, if you go to Mr. Fisher's wood shop, he probably has some of that.
All right, where's that at? Just
So you go out this tavern, you go down the street a little bit. It's off to the left.
and the innkeeper perks up. It's the one with the sign.
Yeah, so the one with the sign.
And he goes off to bed. The innkeeper offers you the bottle of rot gut.
I'll take it.
Okay, you going to bed?
Yeah.
Are you going to look at your mail?
I was just about to say, as soon as I go downstairs, I had to call out for scraps, have them in my hand.
Okay, so you call out for scraps, and there's a little chittering noise. A skeleton of a rat comes out of a hole in the plaster and runs up to you and hops into your hand and just runs up your shoulder.
Oh, hello, good boy. These my scrapes. And then I'm gonna head over petting him while he sits on my shoulder. Yeah, like just scratch his little skull behind the eye holes.
He doesn't really have anything left to pet, but you can tell he appreciates the sentiment.
And I'm gonna take out my mail, and I guess I probably have someplace to sit down.
Yeah, you have
right?
a nice couch to sit on.
So I'd sit on the couch and I just start looking through things.
It's just one letter and some magazines that you get sent over from Stonehelm. But one letter and your usual magazines. And the letter is quite possibly one of the finest envelopes you have ever seen, with a bit of gold leafing around the edge.
Huh. Interesting.
And the symbol on it, in wax, is a deck of cards with a skull.
I would open it up cautiously because I don't think I've ever received mail as nice as this, even from Lady Falwell.
Yeah.
She usually sends pretty standard looking stuff because
it is fine linen paper. And on it is a neat script done by, near as you can tell, somebody who is deliberate about the way they write, done in ink and quill. And it says, "Dear Mr." and then a name you haven't seen in a long time because you haven't gone by it since you were a child.
That would instantly send me into a panic attack.
I have long been a fan of the type of work you are just now truly getting into. As one professional to another, I look forward to the day where we both may meet and compare notes on the brink. Yours truly, Mr. D'Artagnan M. P.S. We may be meeting soon.
Oh God, that sent shivers down my spine.
And I think that's where we'll leave off.
Now, I think that's as good a time as any for Zarmos's journey to begin.
So it takes about 3 weeks to gather up the necessary things to really be ready to go and to recover from the damage from the warp attack, because gashes like that just don't magically heal overnight unless you involve magic. The piglet gets a little bigger, The donkey seems pretty happy, and you don't see any more wargs. And you're off to go. Where you head?
What was the name of the first city you said?
Thanesville.
And where is that?
Just north of, I'm sorry, just south of the basin.
Oh, so it's the opposite way of Mine Top.
No. It's all south. I misspoke.
Oh, everybody is south. Okay.
Yeah. South will get you to Thanesville, and that'll get you to the Great Road, and then there's a cut off to Mine Top.
Little friend, we're ready. Let us go. And I scoop up my piglet. And now, is this cart? Would I be able to ride in it, or would I have to just like walk along it?
You walk along it. There's not really a place to drive from on it, so you got to take the donkey's lead and just lead her.
Well, I don't want my new piglet to eat all the branches. So,
the piglet is not interested in the branches, mostly because the first time it tried to scrape its little tusks on the bark, it was struck by a small bolt of lightning.
Oh, wow. Well, that's convenient.
All gods can spite a little bit.
So I'll take his blanket bed and a couple apples for the road, and we set off.
Okay. And you make your way, and you get out of the basin and over the ridge and through another forest, and you make your way onto Thanesville. At least where you're pretty sure Thanesville used to be, because as you look at the place where Thanesville was, there is a giant bore in the earth, rifled, as if the entire place was just ground out of existence with a drill.
Thank you for listening to Nat 1 Heroes. That was our session 0. If you enjoyed it as much as we do, please consider looking in the description below to seeing how you can support us so that we can continue making content and hopefully do it better each and every time.